Hi everybody, I'm your host Krusty Rusty, and today you're watching Krusty Rusty's Book Corner. I hope you enjoyed your 3 months off from my book reviews. I had a lot of shit going on, so that's that, doing house projects. I caught the COVID. That was pretty cool. Not really. Just been busy. But within that time frame, I'll probably read about, 3 or 4 books. All books very informative, and I'd like to share some of them with you. Before I start episode 3, I'd like to thank some of my fan base, my wife and daughter, Sarah and Aria, and all my buddies at work, too many to name, at AF Amarillo Construction. They are all my biggest fan base. They are the ones that fucking hammer on me all the time to do these. I got tired of hearing it, so here it is, episode 3. We're going to kick this off with a book that I bought probably about a month and a half ago. It was a limited edition. Wait a minute, let me dig it up. That's the whole reason why we're doing this, right? Hold on. This book, right here, limited edition of 400 runs, hardcover, City of the Beast, The London of Aleister Crowley. Hardcover, written by this guy, Phil Baker. It's autographed. I'll show you in a minute. On the back, London, Dear Vile London. Now you gotta remember, this guy was a savage, okay? He was a philosopher. Well, not a philosopher. I think he was. Very spiritual, occultist, mystic. Started his own religion, things like that. Let's just get into this. We'll put that there, maybe. You figure after 3 episodes I'd get my shit together and actually get kind of organized for these, but I don't. Nice hardcover. Here's not an embossed, but it's like an engraving, gold foil stamped of Aleister Crowley, like a caricature of when he was elderly, when he was an old man. Nice ribbon, bookmark. The spine of the book is beautiful. All right, this is a very high quality book. The only downside to this book is that it's extremely fucking boring. Okay, this is one of the most boring books I've ever read in my life. But more on that later. Okay, let's just first talk about the quality of the book. The paper in this, it's off-white, so it's easy on the eyes when you read it. Here's the autograph by Phil Baker. I think that was his name again. Phil Baker, yeah, there it is, check. All right, very small writing. This book clocks in at about 350 pages, but if you look at the writing, the typeset, it's very small, so you're probably looking at about a 450 to 500 page book. It comes with this limited edition, high quality bookmark, nice paper with an Aleister Crowley quote on the back. What bothers me, for a book, this was kind of expensive. Limited run of 400. What pisses me off, I feel like I was misled. Because usually when you buy a book of a limited edition run, you'll look in there, somewhere, anywhere, and there'll be a hand-numbered thing. It'll say, this book, 05/400. This book doesn't have that. Which kind of tells me that they're just going to reprint this shit next year, as is. So, there it is. Okay? It is very well written. It is very deep, but it's boring. This book is only there's very little mysticism. This chapter, what it does is it talks about where the fuck the guy lived in London all his life. Apartments, houses, his favorite restaurants, how he behaved in some of these restaurants when he was all banged up. But it's not as crazy as you think. It talks about his time in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. But what the guy basically did was get his hands on Aleister Crowley's diaries, personal diaries throughout his life, and wrote this book. Honestly, the other night when I finished this, I think I finished it Thursday. It was like 2 or 3 nights ago. I finished it up, and I go in the kitchen and I tell my family, I'm like, this is the most boring book I've ever fucking read. And you'll probably never see me take this book out of my book collection again. Because there's no reason to ever read it again. Lo and behold, an hour later, I'm skimming through this reference book, Gems from the Equinox, selected writings of Aleister Crowley by Israel Regardie. We'll touch on that guy someday. Lo and behold, I need this book as a reference. So what does that tell you, folks? It tells you, no matter how mundane and fucking boring a book can be, just bludgeon your way through it, all right? Just punch a hole through it and finish it. Because you never know down the road if you're going to need it as a reference manual to look something up. And then you're going to be like, well, I never finished it. You're going to miss out on something. Then you're going to be like, oh, I think it might be in this book. And then you're fumbling around like a moron. Just read the fucking book. Suffer through it. And it might be worth it in the long run. I give this book 5 stars in quality and writingship, and the author did a very good job writing. I'm not trash talking him, but it's not my cup of tea. I would definitely give this like 4, 5 stars. It'll take a place of honor in my book collection, but like I said, this thing ain't gonna be getting pulled. It's gonna be collecting more dust than fingerprints, dirty fingerprints. All right. But there it is, folks. City of the Beast, The London of Aleister Crowley by Phil Baker, hardcover edition. Nice book. All right. I bought this from an independent seller. That's about it on that. All right. Like I said, in the last 3 months, I've read a few books. So we're going to kind of touch on some of these books as we go along. All right. I'm going to put this one back. The next book I read, well, actually the first book I read since the last book review, episode 2, I picked this up, Myth, Magic, and Freemasonry. Occult Perspectives in Freemasonry. This was written by a guy, Jamie Paul Lamb. He's a Freemason. All right. This touches on the background, the beginning, the theories of the beginning of Freemasonry. I find this extremely intriguing because esotericism, esoteric symbolism, and secret societies is a passion of mine. And so obviously, therefore, I became a Freemason probably about, 6 years ago. All right. I'm not an active member of the lodge. I'm too busy. I hate to say that. But it definitely paved the way for me to get into the spiritual path that I'm on. Wondering who I was before, where I'll be going in the future, where I'll go when I'm dead, and who I will become again. Okay? This book touches on, let's see, the first section is Freemasonry, the Golden Dawn, and the Ceremonial Magic. Now, you've heard me talk about the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn before. It was a secret esoteric group in the late 1800s to early 1900s. Why does this tie in with Freemasonry? Because it was formed by 3 Freemasons. All right? And what they did was they claimed they found these secret manuscripts in a book collection or something. We're going to touch on that group later on in the future, probably 3 years from now, episode 4. And it talks about how the rituals of Freemasonry became the cornerstone of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. And their complete grade systems, okay? It touches also on the solar and astrological symbolic gestures of Freemasonry, the settings up of the lodge room, what they mean, and how they can influence you in your life in a positive manner. It talks also about mythology, the mythological backgrounds of Freemasonry. It also talks about, there's a section on here called a group. It was a group called the Rites of Mithras. The Rites of Mithras was a secret underground order during the time of Rome, of the Roman Empire. This was a mythological group, and what they had was, there's a theory that Freemasonry stemmed from these guys. What they had was these underground lodges called Mithriums. They were caves or vaults, almost like a burial vault, where they would do their ritualistic procedures. And like Freemasonry, the Golden Dawn, in Mithraism, there was another complete grade system. You had to go up in grades to achieve more spiritual, psychological, esoteric wisdom. So you can see the beginning and where it is today. This book, I would definitely tell any Freemason out there to read this book. It's very informative. It talks about the zodiac, the original 7 planets, how they incorporate the rituals and teachings of Freemasonry. I have many friends out there that aren't Freemasons, and they love to try to delve into this, with all due respect to my friends that do this. You know, they watch the National Geographic channel, documentaries on Freemasonry. I mean, not National Geographic. The History Channel, Behind the Freemasons. What are they all about? Well, it's really none of your fucking business until you become one. But they love to try to needle me and prod me and try to, you know, give them these little tidbits of information. All right. This is good for a Freemasonry wanting to pursue their studies. A Freemason might even just get a quarter of this book. Somebody that just studies Freemasonry, that isn't one, won't probably get very far. All right. It's something that you have to experience. It's something that you have to be a part of. And have a focal point of your studies in order to get the information that you would really enjoy getting out of here. All right, I got this from Amazon. I've been rolling the dice this month. Besides that hardcover limited edition book. Amazon's been pretty good to me lately. The next book I'm going to talk about too is another Amazon book. But here it is, folks. Myth, Magic, and Masonry. Theoretic background teachings of the origins of Freemasonry and the symbolic meaning, the meanings of the symbolism to a certain degree. You can get this anywhere. It's not like you have to be some higher up Mason or anything like that to purchase this book. All right, but with modern technology, you can purchase anything you want anyway. So right here, check that out, some of my Freemason brethren. All right. You know what? We're just gonna put that right there because I'm gonna be fighting with that. I'm gonna take a smoke break. I just got this sour apple puff bar. It's wicked good. I hope nobody's doing yard work today. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. It's 12:11 on Saturday. My thermometer's already pushing 90 degrees. So you're probably wondering why I'm wearing a fucking winter hat. Well, it's probably about 68 degrees in my house right now. I got the AC cranking, of course. Maybe jam some tunes. I got the house to myself today, so I might live dangerously and have an O'Doul's or something. I don't know. Whatever. Next book. Aleister Crowley book. You're probably wondering why. What the fuck? Why are you so into this fucking guy? Because he was a weirdo. Alright? Because the guy was a weirdo, but he was on a spiritual path. He was dedicated to this shit. Alright? There's a lot of crazy rumors about the guy killing people and stuff. That's not fucking true. When you know, there's nothing crazier than what Motley Crue did in the 80s when they were cool, all right? Let's see. This book right here, Conks on Pax. Essays in Light by Aleister Crowley. Excellent book. Very philosophical. When you read this type of stuff, this is all based on Jewish mysticism, the Kabbalah, the Kabbalistic tree of life. And we'll get into that a little bit. But these books take a while to read. Even look, it looks like an Illuminati Dr. Seuss book. Huh? Let's read some Illuminati Dr. Seuss book. Take a crap in my frap. Huh? And put on a strap. I don't know. So we're just gonna talk. There's four essays. 4 philosophical occult essays in this. The first one the only one is the first one I'm gonna touch on. It's called The Wake World. Now this is about a lady, Lola. Her name's Lola. And she is on a spiritual quest. And she confronts, she finds her holy guardian angel, which is Aleister Crowley's passion. He wanted to find his holy guardian angel, which is his 100% subconscious, to tap into, which becomes almost like a godlike beam of light, not Cox on Parks, light and extension. All right, which is, I believe, is loosely based on Greek translation. Light and extension, light with no beginning or end. Pure divinity on a higher plane. To completely know yourself, to be almost touched by the light of God. Because Crowley believed that we were all our own gods. The first one, alright, so it talks about this girl Lola gets in touch with her holy guardian angel. And he's like, if you want to become one with me, we're going to have this marriage, but you have to go through this path. This path are 32 spheres and paths of the Kabbalistic tree of life. Like, let me just show you a fucking map of it. This is a map, an ancient map of what the Hebrews believe to this day created us from the Godhead. Here's that group, the Golden Dawn. See if I can find this shit. I lose my bookmarks everywhere every time I open a fucking book. Let's see if I can find this in here. Just so you can get a visual. Every sphere, it's created by 10 spheres with 22 paths to get to each sphere. And here it is. This book weighs more than I do, so you gotta bear with me. Alright? This up here is like divine. It's God. Actually, these top 3, this 3 triangle, is like the Trinity. Everything underneath it, all these spheres are planetary sigils and elements that make us on our path of creation to here. This is called Malkuth. This is Ketha. This is Malkuth. Each one has a different name and attribute. This is us in fleshly form, born into this world. And as we die, we go through this path of the serpent back to our divine nature. So what this chick Lola does with her holy guardian angel, he says, here's the deal. You want pure divinity? You want to hit a spiritual level? You got to go through these paths. Okay, so she goes through these paths. Each sphere is different. You have hate and anger, love, joy, male, female, positive, negative. Think of the Eastern yin and yang. Okay, you have a sphere where the design is cut in half almost by an S. It's 50% of each side. It's 50% of black and white. Positive and negative. Male, female. The duality of everything that creates us. And she goes through this, and it's like she's died, and she's passing through all these, going towards him, gaining the divine knowledge. The marriage is the divine knowledge. the knowing of what I talked about before. Who you were, who you are becoming, who you will be, even after death. So she makes it, and they have this joyous marriage. What is the moral of the story of this? What is the teaching? The teaching is, if you are becoming a spiritual person, searching for your divine inner sanctum, the path is treacherous, especially if you start meditating and self-hypnosis. You start tapping into your subconscious of things that you don't want to see. You're beginning your path of true self-knowledge. The good, the bad, the indifferent. All right? Meditation and self-hypnosis, I would try to push on anybody. It's crazy, all right? Like, they call it astral travel. And you can do it through the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, and a tarot deck. Because the tarot deck is basically the Kabbalistic Tree of Life in card form. Okay? So, her spiritual journey to where she had to be was treacherous and beautiful at the same time. That's what it is. If you want anything in your fucking life, knowledge, you want the knowledge of something, you want that job, you want that promotion, you have to work for it. It has to be uncomfortable. You have to go through uncomfortable shit in life in order to learn yourself and to get from point A to point B. That's exactly how it is. Whether people sit there and tell you how fucking great life is, it's not always great. And that's why you are who you are today. That is the moral of that story, the Wake World. If you have the patience to read something like this, I would definitely tell you to read it. You're gonna be sitting there with a fucking dictionary, there's Latin in it, there's fucking weird shit. And even to make it harder, guys like Aleister Crowley, this woman H.P. Blavatsky, that had her own religion, her own philosophical school, it was called Theosophy, Transactions of the Blavatsky Lodge, Eliphas Levi, Israel Regardie, all these people that wrote these books in the late 1800s, Israel Regardie, so much more in the 1900s. They wrote in like anagrams, numerical sequences, where there's actually paths of the tarot and the Kabbalah hidden, and ways of doing ceremonial magic that are tucked into these books. And I've found quite a few of them just by research and having all sorts of books, reference manuals to go by. They basically give you the instructions on how to achieve these things. That's about it. So, let's go through these books one more time because my battery's about to shit the bed. Myth, Magic, and Masonry for my Masonry friends. Check this out. You'd eat it up. All right? You'd fucking love it. To my friends that aren't Masons, don't give it a shot. All right? Maybe I'll let you borrow it if I get it back. All right? If you have interest in that type of thing. And of course, The City of the Beast. Beautifully done book, professionally written. I just didn't like it. Until next time, folks, stay cool, drink plenty of liquids, and just do whatever the fuck you want for the weekend.